Today we're going to look at some tips to help you remember the phases of the moon. The light starts on the right. That's easy to remember because they rhyme. The light starts on the right. There are 8 phases of the moon. The moon changes shape in the sky based on its position to Earth. So if you're sitting on Earth's surface and you're looking out at the night sky, this diagram down below shows you your view from Earth, what you're going to see in the sky, but also its position. Now this only shows one piece, but it helps you get an understanding of how the position changes and how that makes the phase change. These are the 8 phases of the moon. We have a new moon, which sounds like no moon, a waxing crescent, and again you see the light starts on the right. The first quarter, waxing gibbous. Waxing means getting bigger and gibbous means swollen. We'll talk more about all those words here in a minute. Full moon, waning gibbous, last quarter, and waning crescent. So if you notice, the moon starts as nothing and it gets bigger, more light, more light, more light, and then there's nowhere to go but down, so less light, and less light. If you look at new moon and full moon, those are our phases where there's either all or nothing. The new moon sounds like no moon. It's when we see the sun, the moon, and the earth are all in a straight line. That would be this phase right here. We are going to be looking at the shadow of the moon only. The full moon means that we can see all of the light. That's what you picture when I say the moon was bright in the sky. You're probably picturing a full moon. And that would be when we see the sun, the earth, and the moon in a straight line here. The moon is going to be behind the earth. We also have our waxing crescents. Well, a crescent is C-shaped. If you know what a crescent is, this is a crescent roll, or a croissant is very similar. Or just a crescent starts with C, crescent, C-shape. We have 2 types of crescents, but we don't really have 2 types of crescents. We actually just have either the crescents getting bigger or the crescents getting smaller. But the general shape would be a C shape, a crescent. The quarter, first quarter and last quarter. So they're very similar, but we see the light on different sides. And if you remember, the light starts on the right. So when we have the light starting on the right, that's going to be our first quarter. So what we're looking at is if we have only gone through 1/4 of our revolution around the Earth. So in this model down below, this is our first quarter phase, and it starts in front. That's going to be our new moon, and then it's going to slowly start to revolve around the Earth, and we're going to start to see a little sliver. That's going to be our crescent, and when it gets 1/4 of the way through our whole revolution, if you look at this kind of looks like it could be a big piece of pizza, right? So if you had a big full circle, this would just be 1/4 of that pizza. Here, our third quarter looks like it would be 3 big pieces of pizza if we cut a pizza into three equal parts. Okay, so this is our third quarter. The light starts on the right, so it's going to end moving across on the left-hand side. So if you look at this and you see the lights on the right, it means we're first quarter. Lights moving on its way out. It's on the left-hand side. It means that we're on our third quarter. Then we have our gibbous. We have waxing gibbous and waning gibbous. Gibbous means swollen. So this is pretty much what I picture. I tend to think about somebody who's gotten stung by a bee, and they're just a little bit swollen. So we would look at half of a moon. It's bigger than 1/2, but it's not quite full. So it's just swollen. Some people describe it as being football shaped. Now, I don't quite see that, but if that helps you remember it, then that's great. But gibbous means swollen. So when you see the shape that's not C, bigger than 1/2 and smaller than a whole full moon, then you're looking at a gibbous. Then we have waxing versus waning, because we have waxing gibbous, waxing crescent, and waning crescent. Waxing means that it's getting bigger. If you've ever waxed a car, the first thing that you have to do after you clean it is put wax on it. You are adding a layer to the car. If you're waxing a surfboard, you're adding wax to the surfboard. as well. So you're adding to it. Waxing means that it's getting bigger. Now, waning means that it's getting smaller. It's shrinking. It's wasting away. Okay? Waning means it's wasting away. And a couple other ways to kind of think about that. Waning, you could say that it's getting smaller, it's shrinking, it's getting littler. And I don't love that word, but it does help me when we watch this video really quickly. Kids Snippets, Driver's Ed. We're going to go ahead and play this, and then I'll tell you what I'm talking about.
And this is the honker, that's the key, and there is the wheel to drive the car. This is where you put your foot to get it moving. You mean the pedal? Yes. What does this one do? That one opens the top. Watch. See, it opens the top. I can see the sky. So, that's mostly all. What do you do if it rains? The phone? If it rains and you rain. What rains? If it rains, what rains? I said rain. Rain? Then we would close the windows. And what would you do if it was sunny after it rained? We could open the windows. Would the cold be dirty? What? Would the cold be dirty? What? So, how do you turn on the car? You have to push a button on the car, but I don't know which button. I don't remember what it looks like. You don't? Then how do you turn it on when you don't remember what it looks like? Did you lock the car?
All right, so that's just a silly video to kind of help you remember. If you notice, the little girl, or the driver in this case, is saying, what if it wanes? What if it wanes? And whenever I first started teaching this, I kind of thought back to this video that I'd seen in the past, and it kind of became a joke with me and my friends. So just what if it wanes? They're little kids saying it, so it's getting smaller. If it doesn't help you remember, hopefully it was at least entertaining. So hopefully that helps you kind of keep some of those words straight, or at least see that those words have meaning. So again, gibbous means that it's, we'll start with crescent. So crescent means that it's a C shape, and then it's going to get bigger to a quarter, where we're seeing a certain chunk of our revolution, or we're also seeing 1/4 of the moon. So at all times, half of the moon is lit up, half of it is in darkness, but what we see changes. So when we see a quarter, a first quarter, or a third quarter, what we're seeing is 1/2 of 1/2. So you have half a pizza and you cut that into half again, then you're really looking at 4 pieces, or 1/4. So the quarters, or 1/2 of 1/2, we're just seeing a small piece of what's actually lit up. A gibbous means swollen, it's football shaped, or it's bigger than 1/2 or smaller than full. And then we have waxing, where you're adding or getting bigger. And then waning means it's getting smaller. Okay, now you're going to go on and you're going to work on your identifying phases of the moon packet. There are 3 pages in this. So go ahead and get started with this, and email me if you have any questions.